People are going to want you to stand for many things. More than anything, a team stands for each other.
Get loud for me.
Win or lose, you walk on that court with swagger.
Get loud for me.
You walk off with swagger.
Get loud for me. Hands in the crowd, we tearing it down. Get loud for me.
What's going on, fam? It's your man, VACAY-J, and today we're going to be covering Swagger Season 1, Episode 1 on Apple TV+. And if you're new and you're loving Swagger, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Absolutely like, comment below with any theories, any thoughts. And we're going to get into Episode 1 of Swagger. So the name of the episode is MBA, and you'll find out what that means at the end. So here's a description. All eyes on Jace, a 14-year-old basketball phenom in the DMV who joins a team coached by Ike, a former rising star. And yes, I've seen it, and absolutely, it's a solid episode. So let's get right into breaking this down. So first we see a young guy sitting there, and he's looking at a maze. And it looks like, a man is drawing out a maze for him. He's like, yo, this is easy. And he's like, nah, this is not easy this time. So he's making up this maze for this young gentleman, this young boy, and he's excited. He's definitely excited. This is not the first time he's seen a maze being put together by this gentleman right here, and it looks to be like his father. So he's trying to figure it out, and he said, listen, you figure it out. By the time I get back, I'll see you next time. I'll see you when I get back, and you'll have it all figured out. So, he walks out, and in the background, you hear the young lady like, yeah, I know you ain't coming back. You're full of it. And he's like, I'll see you next time. But, the young boy, he's not paying attention to that. He's trying to figure out the maze, right? So he's trying to figure it out. So when his dad gets back, then he'll have it all figured out for his dad. It was a little challenge. But looks like his dad never really came back. And it looks like now he's gotten a little older. This young man has now gotten a little older, and introducing Jace. And now Jace is here, and he's 14 years old. He loves basketball, and as you see on the walls, he has a whole bunch of trophies, and it's 5 o'clock in the morning. So he's up, he's looking at this maze that his father put together, and of course, Michael Jordan is one of his idols. So he has on his wall, NBA, National Basketball Association. But we'll find out exactly what that means at the end of the episode. So now we see Jace, 5 o'clock in the morning, and it looks like he's jogging. He's jogging up a hill, and it looks like he's training. He's a basketball star, looks like, and his mom is right there filming him run up the hill and filming him do his exercises, right? Looks like his mom is definitely a fan of his and definitely rooting him on. So he's running up the hill, putting in work, 5 o'clock in the morning as a young star. So he jumps in the car. He's like, oh, I'm tired. She's like, yo, it's push-up time. And he's like, I'm tired. And she's like, what do you think your competition wants you to be? And he's like, what? Tired, right? So she pretty much is encouraging him, motivating him to get it going. He's like, really? All right. So he goes out, gets his push-ups on. She starts recording him. It's like, yes. Hello, everyone. Jace Carson, he's here. He's doing this thing. And she's rooting him on, right? He's getting his push-ups on, and he's going to do 100 push-ups. Then they show before COVID, ABC, Ahmad, Brianna, COVID, right? Before ABC. Now, we got Jace. He's eating breakfast, him and his sister. And, they're looking at their phones, and he gets a notification on his IG. And this big basketball promotion guys are saying he's on the radar. We're going to come see you play. So he's excited. He's excited about, definitely playing for them, because once they promote him, he could definitely get a higher ranking. And his sister's like, well, didn't you just ditch your team? You need a new team right now. So he's like, Mom, I do need a new team. What's going on with that? And, she's like, don't worry about it. Trust your mom. I'm going to find a new team. So now we go over to another middle school. And they're like, yeah, we definitely need to get Jace on our team. So they're trying to figure out how to recruit him onto their basketball team. Meanwhile, Mom, they're driving through the DMV, right? DC, Maryland, Virginia area. And they're looking at the folks. He's looking at the family on the street. And he sees, these Gentleman in a car, and they're pumping some music and everything else like that. And he's like, what's up? What's up? You staying focused? Absolutely. Yeah, definitely stay focused, right? So, we already know these guys, look like shifty type of dudes, but she's definitely trying to keep him out of trouble. So now we're on a middle school field trip, all right? And then we see Jace with his friend, looks like that's his best friend, and they're talking about his ranking, talking about, how, the promoters are coming to see him play. She also plays basketball as well, but you always got the haters in the back hating on him or whatever. So now they're rolling through D.C., right? And you see, the White House, you see the Capitol building, you see all these different buildings, and you come to this building right here, and absolutely African-American history and culture building, and they're going through it and learning about American culture, and it's a class trip, and it's a good trip because he's learning more about, his heritage and everything else like that. They said, make the best of it, look around, look at these folks as your family. So he's seeing the folks in the photos back in the day, but he also is remembering, seeing the folks on the street as well. So he's connecting the family of the past with the family of the present, and he is the future. As he's looking on with pride, and he looks to see his idol, Michael Jordan, right, as a statue. And of course, he idolizes his statue and idolizes Michael Jordan because he wants to be like Mike, right? Now, we go over to the parking lot and we see Ike. Ike is a coach and he's working on some plays. He's eating his little sandwich, getting ready to go in, and he works at the hardware store. We got a gentleman here saying that, this piece doesn't work. And we see Jace's mom rolls up and tells the guy, hey, listen, the piece works. You just put it in wrong. Just go about your business. She's trying to help Ike get this guy off of her, right? Because she wants to talk to Ike because she wants Ike to coach Jace, right? She wants, Ike to be the coach and have Jace on his team because she knows that he has a past and that he's an icon himself, that he, when he was younger, he was doing some great things as far as basketball as well. So he's like, I don't coach, I only coach 14-year-olds. And he's like, hey, he just turned 14. So now we're at the gym, about to have a workout. Ike is there with his partner there, and they get ready. Your boy Jace, he goes up in there and he grabs the ball. He grabs the ball and he dunks it real quick. 14-year-old just dunking. He's like, okay, let's get this thing going, right? So, of course, everybody's like, oh, man, right? But Ike is not impressed. He's not impressed, and he blows his whistle. He's like, all right, it's time to get it in. He's like, yo, can you follow instructions? You can be all of that, but can you follow instructions? And, it looks like Jace got a little bit of chip on the shoulder. It looks like he's a little arrogant, whatever the case is. So they kind of go back and forth. And it gets to the point where Jace is challenging Ike. So they said, all right, let's get it going. So Ike picks up the ball and they start playing against each other. Ike starts shooting the ball and he starts making it swish, right? Because Ike is still nice. Even though he's the coach, he's still nice with playing ball. Of course, Jace is doing his thing. He do his little dunks and on all of that. But this is where Ike is going to teach him and show him that, with all of that pizzazz, you still need to have the fundamentals of playing basketball, regardless of what you can do as far as your flair. So Ike gets him to the point where he gets him on the ground and he plays him and absolutely he wins. But as for good sportsmanship, he puts out his hand to say, hey, all right, come on, young blood, get on up. But he smacks his hand out of the way. His mom showed up as well. And it looks like, Jace is a little butthurt about losing, right? So he's like, I don't want to play for this guy. I don't want to play for this guy. She's like, no, you're going to play with him. He's going to coach you. Meanwhile, Ike, come to find out, he has a wife as well. So he's working to support his family. And we find out that Ike also has a baby. Ike and his wife have a baby on the way. All right. So now we see Jace's mom, and she does Mary Kay on the side. So she's hustling to make ends meet, and she's doing Mary Kay. So she's definitely trying to hold down the family. Jace takes out, that maze that his dad did a long time ago. And, he shows his sister. And his sister's like, yo, why do you keep this? He's like, I don't know. And she's like, listen, I think, I was able to find him. I know he's in Florida somewhere, but we could try to get a phone number. If not, if we can't see him, we could at least get a phone number. So he's, definitely looking forward to that. He was hoping that his dad would come home one day, but he never did. Right? So now Jace goes out to throw the trash out as his mama told him to do. Next thing you know, the cops roll up. So I'm going to hold it, freeze, put your hands up. They put him in handcuffs, and he's like, I didn't do anything. I'm just throwing out the garbage. He's like, yeah, you look like the carjacker and this, that, and the third. And then he's like, no, I'm only 14. I didn't do this. And then kind of find out, the white guy's like, hey, the white cop is like, hey, I know this kid, he's a basketball player. We need to let him go. So he's sitting there embarrassed, with handcuffs. His mom comes out. It's like, he's a star student. What are you guys doing? He's only 14. Leave him alone. So he gets off of that, right? Now, Jace is still looking at that maze, and he's reminiscing of when he was a kid. He really misses his dad, and that's obvious, right? So he goes to school and he sees, this guy, and he's always, talking trash. And then he hooks up with his best friend, and she's like, listen, you need to, keep playing ball. Yeah, your ranking sucks right now. You was number 1, now you're number 2, but all you got to do is play ball, man. Just go out there and play ball and do your best. Now we see the coaches meeting, the DMV coaches meeting. These are all the coaches in the DMV area. And we see an OG, and he's talking to them. He's like, listen, you guys got to definitely work with morals and, just make sure that you're coaching these kids the right way. And, Ike has a problem with the old guy because the old guy used to coach him, but he left him out to dry when things fell apart. Now, Jace goes to the locker room and he sees the team, and they're like, listen, man, you got to make a decision. Don't quit. We want you on our team. So he leaves and he looks up Ike back in the day when Ike was playing, when he was his age, and he was making some major moves. Ike could really play back in the day, right? So he's watching all the old footage that they won the championship back then, but he sees, a championship of today, and it's taking place down in Florida, right? So we already know possibly his dad might be there to see him play, possibly, right? So he decides to show up. Jace decides to show up at practice. And he shows up late. He says, sorry, for being late. So he says, if you're late, we all run. So they all get on the line, but they're not mad. They're just happy to see that Jace decided to join their team, right? So they're doing, relays or whatever. Jace's mom gets a call, and she gets a call from, the OG coach. And he says, I want to talk with you, right? So they sit down. Everything seems pleasant. He's talking about, her son being a really good player, and saying that he can be a better player if he was playing on another team because Ike's program doesn't have the money and it may shut down anytime, right? So they have a good practice and it's all good. And, they're rallying together. Looks pretty good so far as they're getting started with the season. Ike talks to one of the coaches like, yo, you need to pay your dues. He's like, yo, I don't have it right now. Can I get you next week? So again, having financial problems and issues as far as the program. Jace wants to shoot some free throws, but he also wants to talk to the coach. They start talking and bonding, about new school rap and old school rap. Mom comes in and says, hey, listen, they've been saying that your program is, doesn't have money and all this and that. I got to get this thing right for my son. And he's like, I understand. She's like, no, you don't. I'm trying to keep him away from drug dealers. I'm trying to keep him away from a lot of things. I got to get this right. So we're going to give you a chance. Just, we got some other coaches looking at us. So now Jason's like, yo, you wanted me to play. Now I'm deciding to play with him. But now you're telling me that we may leave him. She's like, listen, just keep your options open. I don't want you to fail. Meanwhile, the guys that saw Jace online said, hey, we're in New York. We're coming down to see you play. So they're coming down to see him play live and in person. So now it's game day. And, they all praying that Jace does well, that the team does well. Everybody's getting their ritual together. And, mom is praying that Jace does well. She wants her son to do well. His friend, she had an accident with her leg, but she definitely is trying to get herself together. And Jace and all of them, they're trying to get themselves together. And again, he's tapping on that NBA because he wants to go to the NBA one day, right? NBA, we keep seeing that NBA. You'll see exactly what it means at the end. All right, so they're in the locker room. They're getting rallied up pregame and everything else like that. Boom, the tip-off happens, right? Jace knocks the ball back. They get it going. Jace is going up. He's slamming the ball. He's doing his thing. He's playing a really good game. And yeah, you know, the guys, the promoting guys, the basketball promoters are definitely hyped and excited. You know, you see Ike with like, wow, like, you know, Jace is really killing there, really in it. So he's having a great game so far, right? Having a really good game, dunking over everybody. This 14-year-old just killing it, right? He's making it happen, you know, but then, you know, some things start to break down and everything. And for whatever reason, you know, the other coach is talking junk, like, yeah, you know, he's overhyped and, you know, this guy, he's nothing, da-da-da, start talking a whole bunch of mess. And he gets into Jace's head. You know, Jace starts to not play so well because he's getting in his head. The other coach from the other team talks to the guy coach and says, listen, man, tone it down, man. These guys are kids, you know. And he's like, listen, I'm just trying to get in his head, and that's what we're doing. We're going to win this game. So Ike tells Jace, listen, don't let them get into your mind. As long as they're in your head, they're going to throw you off of your game. You know, so keep your head in the game. Keep your head in the game. It's all mental as well as physical. So now he's on the foul line. He's trying to make his foul shots to make the win. Right? All they need is a couple of shots for them to win. And so he's on the line, on the foul line, because it got fouled. He could win the whole game. He could win the whole game just shooting these foul shots. But, you know, he's letting it slip away from what they're saying. He's still playing pretty well. But, you know, it's coming down to the wire. You see right there, they only need 2 more points to win the game. And it looks like, you know, they're almost going to win. They might win this, but it's all up to Jace. It's all up to Jace. He's on the foul line right now. All he has to do is score 2 shots to win the game. And he shoots. And he misses, and they lose the game. And he is so disappointed. It's like, man, you know, the promoter guy, you know, he leaves with his guy, his cameraman. Of course, mom is just going to be supportive, but, you know, she feels bad for him. You know, this could have been his shot. It's like the end of the world to him. You know, the basketball team comes over just to support him, be like, yo, it's okay, man. Come on, let's go. Let's go back in the locker room. So now he's in the locker room. He's soaking a little bit, right? So Ike, the coach, comes up and he's like, take that thing off, man. Listen, you know, we could have did this. And, you know, Jason's just like, yo, don't give me that, you know, the basketball speech and all this and that. He's like, okay, I'll tell you the truth. You lost this game for us, man. You let them get into your head and you lost the game. You know, it's mental as well. And you got to go on that court with swagger, and you go off the court with swagger as well. So Ike goes to the car. He puts his bags in the car. He sees the other team and sees that coach that was talking a whole bunch of junk. And he's like, yo, man, you know, let me talk to you for a second. So he talks to him. He's like, yo, listen, man, you know they're kids, man. You're trying to get in their head, man. You need to play fair. And then, you know, the guy's talking a whole bunch of mess or whatever. So Ike hits him with a right hook. Bam. Right on the ground. Like, what? Punches him right in the face because he said something real smart he shouldn't have said, and he violated. But Ike looks up, and yeah, everybody pretty much saw it. You know, all the team saw it. You know, of course, Jace saw the punch as well, and we definitely don't want to teach 14-year-olds to just punch your way out of stuff. You know, not really a good example. His wife is looking at him, and yeah, Ike ends up in jail, right? Just for a little assault charge, right? Meanwhile, Jace, you know, all the critics and everybody's on IG, they're on Instagram talking a whole bunch of mess, saying that he lost it, this, that, and the third. So he's trying not to let it get to his head. And again, he's looking at that NBA. So he tears down the NBA. And he puts up the NBA again, but now it has something different underneath. And it says, never be afraid. NBA stands for never be afraid, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He's never going to be afraid again, and he's going to continue to stand and not let them get into his head. All right? So that is the end of the episode, and regardless of what's going on with him, you know, he's still going to keep pushing. He's still going to keep making it happen regardless of what the people are saying. So that is the recap of season 1 of episode 1 of Swagger. Definitely let me know what you think. Throw down your thoughts below of your thoughts about the first episode. And guess what? There's 2 more episodes that they put out as well. So check out and look out for my recap for episode 2 and 3. And we'll keep going from there. All right, you know what it is. It's your man, VACAY-J. I'm out. Salute.